Diane?
Here.
Hillary?
Here.
Jody?
Here.
Hillary?
Here.
Rebecca?
Here.
Carly?
Here.
Jan?
Here.
Coy?
Here. All right, let's stand for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, first up, coming in hot there, our BHS student report.
Hi, how are you?
Hello.
I'm Grace, I'm president of student council, and I'll just be giving you a brief little look into what we're doing at the high school right now. Sorry, it's been a little bit of a hectic day. So at the high school, we don't have a ton going on just because it's right before Christmas break and everything. But we do have our tutoring as always. The National Honor Society is they're starting their service project. So Miss Morley and Miss Dawson got in contact with our elementary school, and NHS is sending service letters back to, or not server, sorry, Santa letters back to the kids that wrote to Santa and everything. We are Santa's little helpers. So there's that, and then they are also having a movie night on Wednesday at the high school. So, you know, feel free to come. We'll have beverages and snacks and everything like that. We are showing Charlie Brown's Christmas and one other, and it's slipping my mind. I'm very sorry. But it'll be a double feature, so it'll be fun. And then coming up is our peer-to-peer Christmas party, and we had our musical this past weekend as well. We did Little Women, and I heard it went well. So, and then also last week we had a new kind of experimental Hawk Time. We did something similar with Mental Health Week last year, where during Hawk Time students can choose which room they would like to go to. And so we did that last week, and it was, from what I heard and from what I experienced, I had a lot of fun with it, but it went well, it was organized, so that's always nice when it's, you know, there's a lot of students going everywhere and they're not to their normal classes. So, this is an example of what our Santa letters look like to the elementary school. So they would, you know, write to Santa, say their name, how old they were, and what they wanted, and then we would write back telling them about the North Pole, and, you know, just kind of giving them hope for the Christmas season. For sports, we just started our winter season, so we have boys basketball, and they actually have a varsity basketball has a game at Kersley tonight, so hoping that goes well, you know. Girls basketball is also going on, swim and dive. We have meet at Lake Orion tomorrow, I think. And then wrestling, competitive cheer, bowling, and ice hockey are going on as well. And with student council, as always, we are very busy. We're planning for snow coming, so the week we come back from Christmas break, the 6th through 11th, we are having our snow coming week, our spirit week, everything like that. We are planning for dance, we're doing decorations, we're kind of keeping our theme little secret this year, trying something new. And then, of course, our pep games, our spirit court. We just sashed our court today and handed out our packets and everything. So we can get those back soon. And then Powerpuff, which is the 9th or January 9th in the main gym in the high school. So stop by and see that. It'll be a lot of fun. I know I always have fun watching them get crazy. And then we have a spirit week this week. Monday we had red versus white for Candy Cane Day. Tomorrow we have dress as a Christmas character, so elves, Santa, everything like that. Wednesday we have holiday sweater. Thursday is ski lodge, so we're gonna be all bundled up in school. And then Friday is the night before Christmas, and we are gonna wear our PJs. And then with the picture on the right, we just had a bake sale for fundraising for student council, which went very well. We sold a lot, and we made some very good cookies that we had a little bit left over, and we got to snack on those, which is always nice. And then we are planning on doing another lock-in with the elementary school, which always goes well. The kids always enjoy it. We always enjoy it. And then we had our charity week, which went very well. We are sending a little over $2,000 to our charity, which was really nice. So, yeah, that's all I have for you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, next up is our bond project update with Brian Smelnick. Just kidding. BMS, sorry.
You're skipping the show.
Skip. Well, it's 'cause we didn't count all.
Is it really our time?
It is your time.
Sorry.
I'm Kevin Ayer. I'm the principal at the middle school,
I'm Jenny Gieselman, I'm the dean at the middle school.
and we are here to spotlight BMS. So our points of emphasis, you'll notice there's a theme. It's the lighted pathway. Everything's about light. I thought it was a spotlight, not a showcase, sorry. So I just went with it. So we do what is best for all students. That's something that's been adopted really by every school. One of the things that we run all of our decisions through. And we always talk about being a hawk. That's in the classroom, in the hallways. And we try to use these phrases. You control your words, your actions, your attitude. We talk about the 20 square feet of culture, and the other people mindset comes from some lessons that we work with. It's called Positivity Project. So we try to connect all that and tie it together. Notice the spotlight in the corner. Some things that we wanted to talk about, if you asked like what is awesome, what do you want to showcase or spotlight at BMS, peer-to-peer program, we have started something. It's similar to what the high school does. We call it TIES, and there's a few different acronyms for it, but you see it up there, together including every student. Right now we're focusing on our cognitively impaired classroom. We have students that work with those students and they do different activities. You'll see a couple pictures later on. They have done some painting of pumpkins, and they had a Friendsgiving, and really we're just getting students together, associating, and really just making and building culture within the school. We have started a student steering committee, and I was thinking about how to describe that, and they're really a sounding board of students that I bounce ideas off of. As you can see, it says the purpose is to help students feel seen, heard, and treated fairly. So one of the first things we have done is we talked about, we put a survey out and said, how do you feel when it comes to feeling seen, heard, and treated fairly? And I did share some of those results with the staff. so they could see like, what are these students, what's their initial feelings about that. So we're going to continue to have those conversations about what's going on in the school and how we can get things going. I'm going to turn the next couple over to Mrs. Gieselman, so you can talk about them.
Right, so I have a lunch bunch going this year where students are planning activities in the cafeteria. One thing I wanted to do was promote like team building and stuff during lunch, because there's a lot of problems that can happen during lunch, and so I'm trying to build community within the lunchroom. And so one thing that they're doing is creating games that the kids are playing, and then they go back to their table and they bring things back. So we've had a rock, paper, scissors, like an ultimate one where it came down to all the lunchroom tables, and then eventually one table won. They won cookies for their table. The next time we did Simon Says, and it went down to the tables, and one table got pizzas for their table. So it's been a fun activity. The kids really enjoy planning it, and we'll continue that. And then the party card is going. So we're really trying to promote tardy, not being tardy. We're trying to promote timeliness. So I travel around with a card filled with goodies, thanks to parent donations. And if the class, I'll pop in and say, hey, was everyone on time today? And if they're not, then I'll say, okay, well, we'll visit again tomorrow. Mr. Air was awesome today. He was playing music while we were walking out of one class. Like, sorry, I missed it, but we'll come back. It does seem to work. Like when I say I'm going to come back and I come back, usually they'll be like, hey, we were on time today. Can you come by with the party card? I'm like, I don't know. Well, let's have to see, So that's been going on. It's fun. And I think it is helping with the tardies. So, and then we have hawk tickets going on. We want 100% of kids getting hawk tickets. So Mr. Air put out a list of students that hadn't received a hawk ticket yet this year. And we've made that visible for all the teachers and staff so that they are aware of who are using hot tickets and they can get those out. And our goal is that every child will be rewarded with one. So.
And that's all a lot of this is part of our positive behavior intervention support, fancy PBIS is the acronym for that. So, and that is really one of the main things that we focus on. And then seeing the light here, I wanted to present to you some data. And for those that can't see, basically we're comparing 2023 with 2024, and we focused on behavior, and we didn't really know what it would look like, and it was pretty surprising when we looked at it. So you can see up through this time, and we picked the dates in MyStar, in our system where we house the data, we had 350 total office referrals. Those are things that get sent outside of the classroom where it needs to be addressed further. And that was it last year. We had about 4 per day is what it worked out to be, and 75 total days of out-of-school suspension, so for various things. And now in 2024, of course, we looked at the same time frame, and drum roll, you don't have to do that, but go ahead.
We're down to 191 referrals. We're averaging 2.5 per day. And we're down to 32 total out-of-school suspensions. So I think a lot of that has to do with restorative practices that we're incorporating, and just trying to build. Mr. Air is doing a great job of building culture within our building, and I think that's really helping promote that as well. So
we actually call it the Gieselman effect. That's what it's known around. It's really been a positive thing to see it grow and to see us adopt some of the positive things and just find ways to get students to see the light. And so this last slide is for your enjoyment. You can see here the pumpkin painting. It was awesome to be part of that. And then Friendsgiving, there was so much food. We had lots of leftovers. This is our symbol for the steering committee, and this is rock, paper, scissors for Lunch Bunch. And that is all that we have.
Alright. Next up, we make it hard for you every time, don't we, Donnie?
Good evening. Christy and I are here tonight to talk about the Summer 25 bond project. It's our last group of construction projects for the bond. Excuse me, there's some other monies in the bond for technology and some buses, but These are the last two construction-related projects. They were broken out into bid packages 6 and 7. Tonight, I'm going to go over the scope of work for each of the bid packages, and then Christie will talk in more detail about the bids that we received, and then we have a bid recommendation for award in your packet for tonight. So I think this is me, right? So bid package 6 involved 2 buildings. There was the high school and Harvey Swanson. The items in the high school, and I'm going to go into much more detail than as we go through, but the items in the high school, a couple items, there was the parking lot replacement, the soccer field improvements, and then also we're installing some interior security doors in the corridors inside the high school to allow us to block off areas of the building for an after-hour event for the gymnasium or something, so people just can't wander through the hallways. Harvey Swanson's item was the remodeling of the concession building down by the football field. So first, let's talk about the parking lot. There's these items, basically all of the maintenance lot that you see, transportation, soccer field, gym. Here's a better representation graphically of the areas. So the areas in blue and red on the site plan are the areas that are included in the scope of work. You can see the big yellow X's on the student lot and the tennis court drive. Those are not included in the recommendation for today. But the areas in blue and red are included in the scope of work. And the design was such where we did it a little bit differently than we did the Oakwood and the Swanson parking lot. This is a selective base replacement option, so we're going to have a third-party testing agency on site. And during the demolition and the base preparation, they'll be testing the base and seeing if there's areas that are unsuitable. We'll just attack those poor areas and get those out and bring in stone and prepare that base instead of taking all of the base out. The soil borings and the visual observations from both the civil engineer and the contractors, they told us you don't need to take all this base out. So we're going to do it on basically a case-by-case basis. The soccer field scope of work, there's several items we're doing. We're replacing the bleachers, adding new concrete for accessibility, replacing some fencing, adding some netting behind the goals of the soccer goals to help keep the balls on the field, adding new wayfinding signage, and then we're doing a lot of remodeling to the concession building at the soccer field as well. So this is a representation here. So the orange that you see, we're doing some fencing replacement where there's the orange lines, putting the netting behind the 2 goals, soccer goals, to keep the balls in the field. The light blue is the bleachers. We're totally replacing the bleachers with new bleachers. The dark blue is the new concrete, so we'll have an accessible pathway from the parking lot all the way to the bleachers. We're also adding some concrete on the east side for the team around the bench area. And then we will be remodeling the concession building. The wayfinding signage we talked about, we went over this a couple meetings ago, but there's 17 locations, both on the high school site and the middle school site, that will be adding wayfinding signage. This is a representation of what some of the signs will look like, so as people are entering the campus for maybe the first time, the signage will help direct them to what event or what area of the buildings that they need to go. So we're excited about that. We'll be replacing all the existing signs that you have. Some of those signs are out of date as far as where they're telling people to go. Harvey Swanson's concession building, will be putting some new interior finishes, replacing the exterior door, replacing the 2 counter shutters that face the football field. We need to revise the plumbing for the sinks. We're adding a permanent heat source, replacing the lighting, replacing the shingle roof, and then we're providing a new ramp up to the toilet rooms that are attached to the Harvey Swanson's building for ADA accessibility to the toilet rooms, and then doing some remodeling in those toilet rooms as well. We're also going to be replacing the shingle roof on the storage building that's right next to the concession building down by the soccer field. Bid package 7, a little shorter, smaller scope. We're doing the parking lot replacement at the middle school, and then we're also replacing some of the rooftop HVAC components that are currently on top of the middle school. So these are the areas of the parking lot, A through H. Here's a better representation. So everything you see that's in blue and in red are being replaced. And the same concept here as we talked about at the high school. So we're going to be having selective base replacement at the testing agency on site, and as the contractor's working with the testing engineer, make sure that we just replace the areas that need to be replaced.
And so the blue, what are the different colors represent, just so everybody understands?
The different colors were when the civil engineer broke out the areas for costing, just graphically representing different areas, so we could look at areas and see if we could afford to do them all, or if we had to cut out some areas. So some were in worse shape than others, so they got a different color. The HVAC item we talked about, we're replacing the partial refrigeration system that's up on top of the roof that serves the classrooms. It's not a full replacement of the system, but this will be replacing the refrigeration components. Those components are out of date, we can't get them anymore. The refrigeration has changed since the code has changed. So we'll be replacing the refrigeration system up on the roof with some new components. I went kind of fast, I apologize. Is there any questions on the scope of work for either bid pack 6 or 7?
So just to clarify, those interior doors at the high school, we didn't originally have, part of that project, but we had to put them in because...
Yeah, that was the fire marshal walkthrough. Currently, you have some roll-down gates in a couple areas of your building, and they don't acknowledge those as being code compliant anymore, because when they go down, they're locked, and you could trap somebody on either side of the gate. So they basically issued a violation where we couldn't use those gates at all. So we're going back, putting in the doors in those similar locations. So we'll be removing the gates, locking them away so they can't be used, and then the doors then will take place of the gates.
And then the upgrades, just to reiterate, to the soccer field, the concession stand at both Harvey and the soccer field, make everything ADA compliant over there, restrooms, bleachers.
The toilets will be ADA compliant inside both concession areas, and then also the bleachers will. The bleachers are out of code both for ADA, and also there's gaps between the footboard and the seat, so somebody could roll through the bleacher. So the new system would be totally enclosed, no one can fall through. There'd be proper guardrails, handrails, and then the ADA ramp, which will have access right up to it. And the thing we're excited about is we're going to add that concrete, because right now you have to go through a lot of grass to get there, it gets muddy. Now we'll have a hard surface right from the ticket booth all the way to the bleacher system.
How wide is that pathway going to be?
10 feet wide along the fence line, and that runs parallel. So this is 10 feet wide that runs along the fence, and you can see it flares out here and fills in that area around the concession building itself.
Thank you.
Any other questions I can answer for the scopes? And I'm going to turn over to Christy, she can talk all the numbers, but anything else that I can explain about the scopes themselves? Okay, cheers.
So I'm Christy Hoover from Wolgas, and we put the bid pack 6 and bid pack 7 projects out to bid in mid-November. We received bids last Monday, December 9th. We did solicit bids in all the major plan rooms through our internal bidders list, and we did receive bids in each and every category. We received the bids that we did receive. We did go through the apparent low bidders to qualify bids. We met with those bidders, did post-bid interviews. All of the bidders that we are recommending are in the board packet. The bidders are strong contenders. They have lots of K-12 experience. I do have a very sore throat. Lots of K-12 experience. Most of them have worked with the district. Brian and I have worked with every one of these contractors. And the paving projects, which are the biggest part of your projects, are both the same contractor that did Harvey Swanson, and they did a great job. So we are very confident that they will be able to do another great job for the school district. So when we did receive our bids, the budget for bid pack 6 was $2,612,000. The budget for bid pack 7 was $1,371,000. The total construction budget was $3,983,000. Bid pack 6 came in under budget at $2,577,700. $69.25, and then bid pack 7 came in at $1,185,543. So the total contracts come to $3,762,945.25. Again, we are under budget by about $220,000, and the contractors that we have awarded or recommended are very, very good. So we feel confident in going forward with the projects.
As Christie mentioned, every one of the contractors we're familiar with. They've either worked in the district before or they've done K-12 experience. So there's no one that came out of the blue that we didn't know who they were that provided a low bid. So we're pretty excited about that.
All right, well, thank you.
Just one more slide. So there's, again, a recap of the budget. That number in the award does not impact the contingency. There's still another 10%, which the Department of Treasury requires us to carry. So there's $398,300 contingency that's off to the side in case we need it for unforeseen conditions. So we're excited we're able to award the project without having to touch that contingency to bring us back on budget. So it's great to go out and have the award that we're already starting under budget, and we still have that cushion of the contingency in case we need it. Any questions at all about the bidding or the contractors or the award recommendation in your packet that we can answer?
I think we're good. We appreciate you coming out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is public comments and questions on agenda business. All right, this looks like it's not on agenda business, so we will take this comment at the end. Okay. Next is approval of consent agenda.
I'll move the Bremen Board of Education approve the consent agenda as presented. Second.
Any discussion? Can I get a roll call vote?
Diane,
Yes.
Hillary,
Yes.
Jody,
Yes.
Jeff, yes. Rebecca?
Yes. All right. Next is information and discussion items, board report. Jody?
I just want to give a shout out to our band director, Caleb Marshall and Jesse Johnson. They're not here, but this year they brought the pep band to the varsity girls and boys basketball games, and I attended last Friday, and it was, I don't know if anybody else was there, but I just thought it was amazing, and I just wanted to let everybody know that they really collaborated together. It was great.
All right, thanks. Next is finance report.
Good evening. I received some late information regarding your budget on Friday afternoon. The state aid report came out a little early. So I called Curly and I said, this is good news. So that's why you're just getting, today is when Alexa sent the revised packet that you have. What I've done is put together just some, I think I have 5 slides here, just kind of highlighting some things. I decided to focus more on revenue tonight, but I thought we would at least kind of go over what I think the big items that are affecting the budget. And as I think everyone knows, our state per pupil foundation allowance is $9,608 per pupil. That is the same as we had last year. We had a enrollment decline of 65 students. about 15 more than what we were in, or budgeted for anyway. I wanted to throw this one in because this interest earnings is a really big number that we're benefiting from with the kind of the way the economy is. The budget includes 300,000. It wasn't that many years ago, when, you know, we maybe had 30 or 40,000. So it's, you know, the reason I'm bringing this up because someday if interest rates go down, we're not going to have that benefit of that much revenue. The budget includes a food service transfer in of $75,000. We do that typically every year. We've kept it pretty much at $75,000. And then this also includes, in order to balance the budget this year, or this for the amendment, the IPA energy debt funds that we have been putting money in case we needed them. And this is the first year we're actually transferring money from those funds back into the general fund. And that's to the tune of $327,299. So what I wanted to do real quick is compare our current budget to last year's audited budget regarding state revenue. The foundation allowance this year compared to last year's audit, right now we're down about $900,710. We did, some of that's offset by a special education increase of $282,779. And that's based off of costs that we had last year. So the costs last year were much higher than they had been, so we get funded this year for those costs. We have a MIPSERS cost offset, that's to help us with our MIPSERS expenditure, $48,061 reduced. And then this new line item, I'm not sure if you've all heard about it, but this MIPSERS reduced UAAL is what it's called. And it's a net revenue increase, meaning we do not have any corresponding expenditure to this one. And that's $710,867. And then the other end of it is we did have a UAAL MIPSERS reduction. This one is $712,212. We do have an offsetting expenditure. So fund balance, this one does not affect the fund balance. And then the surprise on Friday is our enrollment stabilization this year is up $155,474. We were not anticipating that. I received a report in June and July, and it showed that we were going to be similar to what we were last year, which was closer to 100,000. Now we're at like 250. So that was good news. Wanted to highlight some differences this year. Right now, our expenditure budget compared again to the audited last year's number. We had to put our district teacher subs back in general fund. We benefited for 3 years with ESSER money. We were able to pay for our teacher subs out of ESSER. ESSER is no longer around. So that was a $275,000 increase to the general fund. MIPSERS decrease from the other page, $712,212. The reason I'm bringing up on the expenditure side is because when we go through the summary budget, you'll notice some lines look like we spent a lot less, or we're going to spend less this year, and it really has to do with this MIPSERS decrease. We're not really spending less, it's that the state's giving us less revenue and less expenditure. We can go into that more maybe at another meeting. Our Edmentum costs, again, we were paying for those. Edmentum is the program or software that we use for kids take classes that we don't offer, online classes. And so ESSER was paying for that. General fund's paying for it this year. And COI's estimating about $80,000. The center program cost increase, we weren't expecting this one. We're up about $150,000. We have 2 additional students. So we're 12 students currently that attend center programs. So, fund balance analysis, last year's audited, we were positive 371, that's before the transfer out. So after the transfer out, we were at 0. This year, currently, this budget, before the transfer in, we're going the other way, like I mentioned, we're looking at an operating deficit of just over $400,000. And then after the transfer in, we have, we'll have a balanced budget after we transfer in from the, as I showed on the first page. So, percentages, we always talk in terms of what is our fund balance percentage. And last year's audited 13.78%. Right now, we're projecting that to decrease slightly to 13.13%. Our assigned fund balance, we've had an assigned fund balance for over 10 years now, maybe 11, 12 years. It's $2 million. That's to help in case we have a major repair that the district didn't have bond money for or sinking fund for. So that money was set aside. That's $2 million. So our unassigned fund balance, last year's audited 7.41%, and this year's projected a little bit less at 7.06%. This non-voted debt capital fund, I know we received questions on this, exactly what is this? And if you haven't been, here in the district for the past probably 6, 7 years now, you wouldn't be familiar. So this is the money that we've taken the last few years and transferred into this fund. Again, like I mentioned, it's kind of our rainy day fund so that we could use this if needed to have a balanced budget. So that audited $2,155,489. That was as of June 30th. So that's our beginning fund balance this year. And because we're going to use a little like $327,000 of that, we're projecting an ending fund balance of $1,828,190. This fund, if we use the maximum every year, if we needed to, it would be fully expended in 2930, which is about 5 years sooner than our last. We have 5 more years of debt payments that we would not have any additional, we would not have this money to cover it. And our average IPA energy bond average payment through 2035 is, the average is $430,178. So as you can see, we can cover it up until, if need be, if we could stretch it out, all the better. But then the day would come where those payments would have to strictly be taken from general funds. So I just wanted to highlight this. We hadn't really talked about it much, or maybe not at all. That is all I have. Any questions? Thank you.
No, thank you, Jan. I appreciate that. Okay, next up is action items. Approval of the first general fund budget amendment for the 2024-2025 school year.
Move the Brandon Board of Education approve the first general fund budget amendment for the 2024-2025 year as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? Can I get a roll call vote?
Diane?
Yes.
Hillary?
Yes.
Jody?
Yes.
Jeff, yes. Rebecca?
Yes. Did you vote?
Yes. Jeff, yes.
Okay, sorry. Approval of BMS lunch line bid.
Move that the Brandon Board of Education approve the RFP for the Brandon Middle School lunch line as presented.
Support.
Any discussion? Can I get a roll call vote?
Diane?
Yes.
Hillary?
Yes.
Jody?
Yes.
Jeff, yes. Rebecca?
Yes. Approval of bid pack awards 6 and 7.
I'll move the Brandon Board of Education to approve the bid pack awards 6 and 7 as presented. Second.
Any discussion? Can I get a roll call vote?
Diane?
Yes.
Hillary?
Yes.
Jody?
Yes.
Jeff, yes. Rebecca?
Yes. BHS Spanish class 2025 Chicago field trip approval.
Move the Brandon Board of Education to approve the BHS 2025 Spanish class Chicago field trip as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? Can I get a roll call vote?
Diane?
Yes.
Hillary?
Yes.
Jody?
Yes.
Jeff, yes. Rebecca?
Yes. Non-bargaining group wage increase.
Move
the Brandon Board of Education to approve the non-bargaining group wage increase as presented.
Support. Any discussion? Can I get a roll call vote?
Diane,
Yes.
Hillary,
Yes.
Jody,
Yes.
Jeff, yes, Rebecca.
Yes. Okay, next up is citizen input. I have one person that signed in, George Lawners. Just before you start, Mr. Lawners, you did that, okay, you must sign in and did all those things. When addressing the board, please recognize yourself by stating your name. Each statement shall be limited to 3 minutes. You can only speak once. The statements shall be directed at the board only. Generally, the board will not respond to public comments during the meeting. Speakers are asked to express themselves in a civil manner with due respect for the dignity and privacy of others who may be affected by your comments. To ensure due process and respect of individual rights, the district maintains a formal process for handling complaints against individuals. A problem involving an individual or specific incident is best handled through administrative channels. Such matters should be reduced to writing and sent to the superintendent or the board president. While it is not our intent to stifle public comment, speakers should be aware that if your statements violate the rights of others under the law of defamation or invasion of privacy, you may be held legally responsible. If you are unsure of the legal ramifications of what you are about to say, we urge you to consult first with your legal advisor. The board wants to hear what people want to say. We expect each speaker will model for our students and others in the audience on how we can respectfully disagree with others' views or voice an opinion or ask questions. All right.
Good evening. My name is George Flowers. I'm a long-term resident of Brandon Township here. We live at 1837 North Hadley Road. I've had 3 children come through Brandon schools. Tonight I'd like to talk just briefly about our building trades program within the high school here. We have 2 programs here. Actually, a 3rd one started this year with the small mechanic shop. I work directly with the welding shop most specifically, and I do some work with the wood shop as well. I'm part of a group through my company, which is Commercial Contracting Corporation. We do a program called Education Outreach. What this does is this tries to bring students into the limelight that are mostly juniors and seniors in high school looking at getting into the building trades. I support groups called Skills USA. This is a skills competition group, which your Brandon High School students from the welding class will be participating this year. I've worked with them to get them into the welding competition. It's relatively a cheap fun to go out, but it's a great event. Skills USA hosts roughly about 3,000 students in right around the time of May, right around Mother's Day weekend. And it's a great event, right? Here you have anything from culinary arts to resume writing, up through welding, carpentry. You have a vast array of different topics. Anything you can imagine is done there. Anything from the students participating in group events, team play per se, to individuals, masonry, plumbing, electrical. What we're trying to do in the building trades is produce this to a point where we're looking to subsidize the retirees, right? I've got 39 years in as a structural iron worker. I actually worked on Brandon Middle School. I had worked at Bell Ann also, way back when. And we're losing kids fast, right? Let's face it, college isn't for every student. It is a great place to go, but it's not for every student. Building trades can offer an opportunity for a student to get paid while they go and they learn their skills and their trades at work, and then go to a subsidized schooling through the union trades to their local halls, whether it be the plumbers, the electricians, iron workers. And then there's a format that they have that sets them out for how many years of schooling that they need, depending on what tasks they're going into. So with our education outreach program, we work with a multitude of different schools, Clarkston Schools, Holly. We're working with OSTC this year. We're going to have our biggest show ever this year. We're going to do a 2-day event there, and we'll have roughly 250 kids come to this event. It cost our company roughly about $80,000 to put on this for 2 days. All all funded right back to the school. What our purpose is here is not just to bring something to the kids and say, okay, well, we want you to be an iron worker, we want you to be a laborer in a construction field. We want them to actually get their hands on it and make that decision for themselves. Over the past 4 years of doing this, I have successfully placed 3 kids out into the world, into the construction industry. Actually, 2 of them from this last class last year. One became an operating engineer, another one has come a laborer, and then in years past, one of the students from Clarkston actually got to go to a nationals competition, which is a subsidized of winning a state competition in the carpentry, and now he works as a trim carpenter for a local company in Detroit. So there's a lot of benefits to this. I would like to see more promoting through the internet. I see stuff out there today for Spanish class, band, but I see nothing for anything else in social media. You know, these.
Your 3 minutes, sorry, your 3 minutes.
Okay.
We have to keep it to that, but we appreciate that, and we have your contact information, so we will be in touch with you.
And if you ever wanted a presentation to show, I'd be more than happy to bring one in.
Okay, thank you. Thank
Yep.
you for what
Thank
you
you.
do. All right, next up, we need a motion for closed session. We need a motion for closed session.
Move the Brandon Board of Education to enter closed session for the purpose of negotiations as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Diane,
Oh, yes. Sorry.
Hillary,
Yes.
Jody,
Yes.
Jeff, yes, Rebecca?
Yes. Thank you.